seen my presentation videos on YouTube? Alright, perfect. Saves me a lot of hassle. Now the reason for that is, there is a process that I follow in sales. Number one is, I always start with presentations. It's never about fact-finding. It's never about, chit-chatting. I'm not a chit-chat kind of a guy, because I don't have the time. Let me be very honest. Let's get one thing very clear. When you're spending time with your clients, there are two types of meetings you will have. Number one is a social meeting, in a party, in a get-together. That's where you do all your chit-chatting, rapport building, relationship, etc. But when you're sitting down with someone specifically for work, you get straight to the point. The problem is we spend so much time chit-chatting that we never get to the point. And because of that, we end up spending about 35-40 minutes chit-chatting, and then they are ready to leave, and then you start your presentation. And then you say, we'll come back to it next week. And then the next week never comes. And the reason is you've got the process wrong. The process is very simple. Starts with presentation. Once you've done your presentation, you will get objections, guys. Let's get that very clear. Objections is a part of our business. And understanding that there are certain objections that are going to be very common among all of us. Now, when I started doing estate planning, let me give you a quick background. About 15 years ago, someone introduced estate planning to me. And they said, Sanjay, if you want to become big in this business, you have to move to the next level, which is you move from financial planning to estate planning. And I said, okay, what do I need for that? And they said, Sanjay, you need to get certified, you need to study X, Y, Z. And I said, okay. And I went down the route of studying law. So I did my master's in law. Then I did my master's in taxation and banking. And I went on to study all these degrees, right? And I realized that is not estate planning. I'm sorry, I just burst a bubble, right? How many of you came here thinking you will learn about taxation? How many of you thought you will learn about wills, trusts and foundations? Because that's what I was told estate planning is about. You see, one of the biggest myths that we have in estate planning is about writing the right will, setting up a trust, making a foundation, setting up offshore companies, especially when you're working with richer clients. And that was what estate planning was all about to me when I joined in this business 15 years ago. I sat down with my father. My father is a 36-year TOT member. For those of you who don't know what TOT is top of the table, which is 6 times of MDRT. My father is a 36-year TOT member, and I sat down with him and he said, how is estate planning going? And I said, it doesn't work. I'm earning lesser money than before. He said, why? What happened? I said, Dad, I'm focusing on, I'm setting up these trusts for my clients, I'm setting up foundations. And he said, good, so? I think, but Dad, I'm not selling any insurance. I'm not doing any bigger cases. He said, that just tells you what's wrong. You have forgotten what's the meaning of estate planning. There are many aspects to estate planning that we will cover today. Alright, so we're going to cover every single aspect of estate planning, from legal, taxation, all of that. And I will tell you what you should not focus on and what you should focus on. Would you like that? Yes. Fantastic. When I started with estate planning, one of the key aspects was the legal aspect. Now, all of us will have an estate. Let's get that very clear. Estate planning is for anyone who's even got 1 peso in their pocket, because you have something to pass on to the next generation. So if you die today, the question is, what happens to whatever you have? That's part of estate planning. That's your estate, right? If you ask a child, what are your estates? What do you think they will do? They'll bring out all their toys, correct? That is their estate. They don't care about property. They don't care about cars. They don't care about your bank, correct or not? You tell them, pack whatever is valuable, we have to run. What do you think they will pack? Their blankies and their toys. True or not? So, the question of what is an estate will change from person to person. So every person I speak to, they will tell me, Sanjay, this is my estate. It could be assets, it could be memories, it could be value systems, it could be systems, just systems. I was sitting with one of my clients who was an IT geek, and this guy, he told me, I said, what's your estate? He said, Sanjay, this USB drive. If everything goes wrong, I just want to take this USB drive and run. I said, why? He's like, my algorithm is in this. That's the most valuable thing I own. And I was like, wow. You see, we're moving away from a very different society today. How many of us will run with bitcoins? Some will say, it's okay, I'll run with my bitcoins. So, when it comes to estate planning, we need to identify what are the different types of assets that our clients are using today. So you need to be able to identify assets. You need to also identify liabilities, because liabilities also get passed on. One of the biggest myths that we have is, when I die, my family will figure it out. They cannot. Because we actually did a study. 97% of men don't know where women spend money. And 100% of women don't know the liabilities that their husbands have. It's very interesting. All of a sudden, the person passes away, and you have no clue what assets they have, what liabilities they have, what commitments they have made. That's the reality. And that's part of estate planning, is finding that out. So there are 7 aspects of estate planning that we cover today. The 7 aspects are very simple. We're going to cover the legal aspects, the tax aspects, inheritance, charity, income, retirement, and their asset transfer strategy. But Sanjay, retirement, how has that got to do with estate planning? There are many times you will transfer your estate to your children or to your heirs even before you die. It's not necessarily you have to die to transfer assets. True or not? So why should that not be part of estate planning? Now when you transfer assets to the next generation, what do you expect them to do with it? That's part of estate planning as well. So what are the 7 aspects? Legal, taxation, inheritance, charity, income, retirement, and asset transfer system. Do you know how many people play a role in estate planning? There are many people who will get involved with estate planning. So, one of the key people who get involved in estate planning are lawyers. Yes, they will get involved in the legal aspects of estate planning. Now, how many of you would like to become a lawyer? 1. Okay. So the rest of us have agreed we don't want to become lawyers. Thank you very much. So stop trying to do the lawyer's job. You see, every time I sit down with a client and I say we're going to do estate planning, they're like, okay, which will, trust, foundation do I set up? And the answer is, that's not my job. Let's get that very clear. By the way, guys, I have a master's in law. Do you know how much it costs to write a will, set up a trust, do a foundation? $500. How many of you are interested in doing that job? That's what I thought. Stop doing it. Because when I went into a more sophisticated market where they had a lot of taxations, a lot of issues in terms of inheritance, financial advisors started doing lawyers' work. So what happened? The lawyers thought that we all are competitors. Are you a competitor to a lawyer? No. So then why do you compare yourself to a lawyer, to an accountant? When we do tax planning, is tax planning part of estate planning? Absolutely. Making sure you reduce your tax commitments and your tax liabilities is a very important part of estate planning. Now let me ask you a question. Is that your job? Then why do you use it with your clients? Buy my product, it will save you taxes. That's not your job. That's the accountant's job. That's the tax accountant, the chartered accountant, that is their job. It is not your job. The problem is, we all try to do it. So what happens? We have clients telling us, okay, you need to speak to my chartered accountant. Why? Because their trust level with their chartered accountant is significantly more than us, correct? So why do you do it? To look professional, let's be honest. Why? Because we don't like to talk about insurance as a estate planning product. Estate planning is about having tax planning, inheritance planning, all of that, not insurance. So we've already got that wrong. And that's a big problem. So this is a story of an advisor that almost quit the industry, and when I met with her, in a matter of about 6 months, she qualified for top of the table, right? And what I realized was, when she met with me for the first time, she had been in the business for about 2.5 years. She knew about insurance for roughly about 10 years. So she used to be in management, and she had been in the business for about 10 years, but she had been an advisor for about 2.5 years. And what I realized is, after 2.5 years, when I met with her, the problems that she was talking about were such basic problems. I mean, she was missing out on how to handle concepts, how to handle products, how to understand underwriting. So when I took her through that whole process and I spent time with her, I was able to help her get to top of the table in just 6 months, because I realized she had the ingredients to become a TOT member. Top of the table, she was a superstar in her brain, but what she was lacking was the ability to do it herself, and she needed someone to kind of guide her on what skill sets she needs to employ today, tomorrow, and then day after, and that process was missing. So it wasn't a lack of contacts at that point, it was a lack of process that was missing. And I realized, if I can help her, why can't I help a lot of other financial advisors? So if you are interested in becoming a big case closer or learning how to close bigger cases, getting to the next level, I've started a program which specifically allows people to get to the next level. But I need you to apply for it. I need to check if you have the ingredients in place to get there. If those ingredients are missing, I would not recommend you to join this program. So if you're interested in joining this program, click on the link below and submit an application so you get into the wait list for me to look at if you are specifically ready for this program. And if you're ready, I will give you a call and we will take this conversation forward.